The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Good afternoon, evening, or it could be morning wherever you are. Thanks very much for coming to a webcast today talking about Oracle's cloud solutions in manufacturing and supply chain. My name is Bruce Kozlowski. I'm a director of North America pre-sales with Evosys, and Evosys is a platinum partner of Oracle. Also, we're a system integrator doing project work across the globe. Today, again, we're going to talk about a little bit about supply chain, touch on manufacturing, and we'll go to the next slide. And every Oracle presentation generally starts with their safe harbor statement, which we may go into general product direction. We may talk a little bit about some of the specific content of Oracle, and this is in no way would we mention timing of the releases, timing of features or functionality within Oracle product. That's at their sole discretion. So thank you very much for that. So our agenda today is we're going to talk about some of the future challenges that organizations are really coming to grips with supply chain specifically. So you could be a manufacturer, you could be a distribution company, you could be someone in retail, maybe even in food and beverage. And you have some future challenges we're going to take a look at. And then we'll go into really the supply chain management aspects of what Oracle and Oracle's cloud solutions bring to manage some of those challenges. We'll look at the integrated cloud solution. We'll go through an overview of those component pieces. We'll take a look at a case study that is a customer that we've worked with that has embraced Oracle and the Oracle Cloud and how they've got the best value out of that. And then we'll talk a little bit about Evosys itself. So let's look over the next 10 years. What's going to happen between well, it's almost 2020 now, and say 2020 and 2030. Let's look at the supply chain and the way we can start to digitize that supply chain. If you look at the way people are buying products today, it's very uncommon to see somebody didn't check out the web first if they needed to get some particular type of item. I ask my Alexa what's on sale each week to see if there's something that I need there. So that goes right to Amazon. Also, customers are looking at how to be more cognizant with AI, and really the companies that are supplying their goods to those particular customers are looking at their supply chain and to using the latest computerized technologies in terms of cognitive computing, artificial intelligence to get the best out of that particular supply chain so they can meet the needs of the online buyer. Over the next 10 years, you're going to see more B2B commerce, actually more B2C commerce as well, as many manufacturers are going to now sell direct right to their customers. So let's look at the evolving business models and really how Oracle supports that technology going forward. And really with the way we're kind of compressing time, compressing the calendar down, when you think about it, the next 10 years is really just around the corner. So let's look at some challenges that manufacturers face today. Now, I think KPMG and Forbes did a study a few years ago, and much of this information still holds true. But if you look at what manufacturers are looking for is really around flexibility and their ability to meet their customers and their customer demands going forward, right? They want the suppliers to look at their performance and really take some risk really within their supply chain. Geez, I would have never thought a few years ago that the norm would be next day or 2-day delivery. And I think the Amazon effect has really changed the way that manufacturers, distributors, retailers really look at the supply chain today. So there's always a need to lower those costs. And how do you do that? Really, you need to be able to align your organization, your operations with the needs of your customer. So let's look at really what we call the digital thread across your organization. And especially in the supply chain space, we have many voices that are coming into your organization. And we look at the ability to really get those voices in the different departments and the way that you're going to touch your customers in the future going forward. If we kind of start through the middle of this particular pictorial, we can look at how you work with your engineering teams, with your design groups, on how you go about creating new products, maybe new services for the customers that you support. How do you bring your ideas to market? What's the underlying systems that you use to get ideas out from the design groups into marketing and then ultimately into your customers? When you have that design for that particular item finalized, how do you get it out to the market? Do you use front office type tools, Oracle's a CX platform, maybe their CPQ area in terms of quoting and pricing those after that particular item is configured? How are you actually creating that view into the customer where they can go out and do a configure pricing quote of a particular item? And actually our case study that we're going to look at in just a little bit goes through how one manufacturer is using this today. So we need to get that information into the system so we can get into order management. And that's the key, is to get your ideas out into your customers' hands and get them to execute on that and actually create an order. So once we have that order into the pipeline, we have another digital thread. It's around material planning, and that's where the supply chain certainly comes in, to be able to look across the supply chain, do the appropriate planning that you need to fulfill that customer order, getting that information to the people that need it in the procurement side of the house, into the manufacturing side of the house, right? So we take that information and we bring that over into prototyping and manufacturing. So we execute on actually building that particular product. And you may or may not build your own products today. A lot of goods that we bring into the country are coming in from outside North America. So certainly the ability to get information out into your manufacturing hubs, if they rely or they are in China, say for instance, or someplace in the Far East, you can get that information out to them in a timely method. So once that material is ready to go, we can take a look at the next digital thread, and that's around shipping and logistics going forward, making sure that either on the inbound side or the outbound side out to your customer, we can get that particular product out in the most efficient and cost-effective way possible. Okay, we'll also touch on today a little bit of the real world use of information and technology. We'll talk about IoT and how how Oracle's starting to spin some of that technology out, and that's the Internet of Things, right? And then finally, rounding out the service and the depot supply side of your supply chain, making sure that when your products are out into the field, that the customer's happy, they're getting good value out of your products going forward. So how do you take care of that whole service supply chain going forward? So let's look at Oracle's supply chain cloud, and it's really built on a couple different principles, right? The first one is to have a comprehensive suite of application systems that give you a broad breadth of the processes that you need to run your business, whether they be in creating an idea So you can get that out into your order to cash cycles, your plan to produce cycles, and ultimately getting invoices out to customers and getting cash in. It gives you that broad range of application features and functions that can take your business to the next step. And we want to have also a better way to execute on that, a better user experience, a better way for customers to come to you so they can order your products. And Oracle gives you the ability to do that. And we want to make that all faster, right? Running in Oracle's cloud, no longer do we have to wait on an internal IT system to roll out the next patch, to roll out the next set of upgrades, to roll out the next systems going forward. Oracle takes care of that for you in the cloud. So if we look at the different pieces of the supply chain cloud, we can look at across the broader, deeper, and better spectrum. You can look at in terms of broader supply chain collaboration and how we take that across the enterprise, and we want to make sure that we have good quality products going out, right? And one thing that's important, if you are a manufacturer, if you are a distributor, maintenance of your plant and facilities is critical in this a new digital world, right? Being able to make sure that equipment's running, things are where they're supposed to be, so you can use them as you need to, is going to be a key to getting products out the door. If we want to look deeper, we can also go into the sales and operations planning side of the house. How do we get forecasts created? How do we do demand management and all the planning activities that we need to have for raw material planning? Or if we buy finished goods from outside your four walls, how do you go about doing that? We can take that and make it better by giving you better user interfaces, using some of Oracle's technology around infolets, making sure that the people that you're selling to, they have proper credit and they can pay for those materials, those items as they get those, right? So let's again look at the digital world, those new demands going forward, and how Oracle's modern applications in the cloud gives you the best way to get information in and out of your supply chain, right? So let's look at some of Oracle's customers. There's about 1,300 or probably more than that nowadays that have already taken the journey to the Oracle Cloud, especially in the supply chain space. So, take a look at this for just a second, and you'll probably see, organizations that are some of the leaders in their industry and how they've accessed and used Oracle supply chain applications to get the best out of their supply chain. So let's look at the integrated cloud applications and the platforms that they sit on. So Oracle supply chain is really built around, I look at it as 4 process areas, and I'm an old process guy. I was working with Oracle technology for the last over 20 years, and I look at Oracle, especially in supply chain spaces. They give us the best of different processes that happen within your organization. So the one at the top is really the ability to create an idea and to commercialize that, right? We bring in innovation management tools, their product development area, which gives your organization the ability to have your engineers work with customers on developing products, goods, and services that they really need. And then they have some technology around Product Hub, so we can bring in information from outside systems. So if you do have something like a CAD system where you're actually designing parts, you can bring in material, because in many cases, some of those external systems can also create items, and they can create bills of materials and things of that nature. So once we have a good item, a good idea for a particular product, we can take that and run that actually through the quote to cash process, and that gives us the ability to run CPQ, which is configure, price, and quote, and get that through order management into the ERP system, right? We can leverage Oracle's global order processing solution. So very quickly we can determine where to get materials from, where to get particular products from in different warehouses, and how to efficiently get those out to customers. On the planning side of this process flow, we can look at things like planning central. So if you're an old supply chain planning person, MRP planning or advanced supply chain planning back in the old Oracle days, this is the solution for you going forward. So we can plan for raw materials coming in, we can plan for materials in our own shop, and we can take that through manufacturing, making sure that we're planning the right materials in the right work centers at the right time to meet customer orders or demand going forward. We can take a look at and plan for quality management within your manufacturing area to make sure that if there are specifications, if there are checks that need to be done, certifications on particular products that need to be there, we can handle all of that for you as well in the cloud. We have the ability also to do inventory management, and one unique aspect to Oracle's cloud solution is the ability to do costing and the different types of costing that Oracle has within inventory itself. And we can all architect that and orchestrate it really through the entire supply chain. And last but not least is really the ability to optimize your facility going forward in terms of maintenance management. It's very near and dear to my heart, as I was a plant manager for a period of time, and if my equipment wasn't running, I wasn't shipping any product. So that's a key to really to any organization. It all starts with maintenance and making sure that equipment is where it needs to be in terms of how it's working, and if it can produce some quality items, materials, and products for you. Okay. So we're going to go and look at in some detail now the different process flows that we kind of just talked about. So if we look at in the supply chain, planned to produce, this enables the efficient planning of your manufacturing operations. This could also be in a retail environment where you are buying maybe some raw materials, things like castings or something that you need to get from a supplier. So we can put together what they call a work definition, which is bill of materials and routing. How do we actually make that particular product going forward? We can create work orders in this area. We can do costing and really create that dispatch list. And that's what we really want to get to is what does the shop need to work on next, right? So that's all part of plan to produce. Creating that work order and really kind of the most important thing about this is to be able to analyze the performance of this particular process flow and how well did you perform on meeting on-time delivery. You know, was the particular work order the way you had initially thought it would be costed out? Did that actually happen? So you can get complete analytics on that. So this gives us the ability to plan, make, and optimize that whole process going forward. We use the manufacturing area, costing, supply chain, or orchestration, and we get out business intelligence across the entire process here going forward. And since we have some good products, we need to actually get those out to market. So we can look at taking the next process flow into account, and that's really on quote. Back in the day, we used to call it order to cash. This is really the quote to cash process, running this through supply chain. So this gives us the ability to now capture orders. And we find that in many cases, if you have a integrated supply chain, you could be a manufacturer of products, you could be a distributor of products that you're buying from suppliers. We need to be able to take orders in and be able to capture those in various ways. So, you know, your order could come in via EDI. It could come in from a marketplace, and there's several of them out there. You know, the Amazon marketplace is pervasive nowadays, and the way that they, you know, take orders in and will get orders to you based on, you know, their technology going forward. So we need to be able to capture that. You also need to be able to configure and price that order as part of the CPQ suite that Oracle has within its supply chain. So we need to, then once we have that order, we need to give the order promising out to that customer. So in many cases now the norm is, I can get it to you in 2 days. So how are we going to go about doing that? We need to be able to promise that delivery to the customer and making sure that we get it out to them when it's expected. We can go about fulfilling and orchestrating that Oracle order, making sure it gets out there, creating the appropriate documentation, shipping and inventory information, and then actually get a invoice created out to that particular customer. But here it gives us the ability to, once again, capture the order. Probably the most important thing is promise when we can get it out to that particular customer. And then on the backside, the accountants always like when we can collect cash and do the invoicing and collection of those dollars going forward. So this is again, the process around quote to cash in the Oracle Cloud. So once we have that order, once we have a product, we need to be able to plan for that as well. We need to be able to plan how we're going to manage work, where it's going to go out into our organization, how we define the assets going forward, and how do we create a work definition and work planning around that. So what do your work centers look like? What type of equipment do you have out in your facilities? Do you do machining? Do you do assembly? Do you do some other types of processes that happen inside of your organization? We need to be able to define those and then plan for that going forward. How do you manage your work orders? And I think I had mentioned before, one of the most important things is really around how we complete that work and getting that dispatch list out, so management knows what to work on next, what's important, what's the hot jobs in the shop, and what are the you know, the customers yelling for. Comes back from that ability to promise orders back to your customer. We need to be able to also cost the work orders themselves. I expected it to cost this. Did it really do that? So the analytics component to this are really a key. So this gives us the ability to plan, repair, and optimize the solution. And when you look at repair, if you are a manufacturer, again, maintenance is part and parcel to something that is done in any manufacturer. You know, I worked at Ford Motor Company years and years ago, and one of the key things that we needed to do on our assembly lines is making sure that those things were running to peak efficiency, and maintenance was a key to that. So very important within the ability to plan and optimize that whole manufacturing component piece. Another area to look at is really around planning and planning central, and how we take a look at, you know, how we go about developing a plan, and what tools do we have, what are the inputs that we use to go into that particular tool going forward, and then what's the output of that. So any good planning system is going to take inputs in from order management. It's going to take inputs in from maybe forecasting systems. It could take inputs in from external, we'll call them external ERP systems, because, you know, not everybody runs Oracle in the cloud. You could be running one of Oracle's older legacy systems, E-Business Suite, PeopleSoft, JD Edwards. You could be running another ERP system, SAP, or maybe something from Infor, right? So this gives us the ability to take in that information in terms of the master data that needs to go into our planning area, and then we can look at supply coming, whether it be from Oracle Cloud, another third-party system, and layer on top of that the demand going forward. So we take that demand, we look at what we have to work with, and we develop that plan going forward. And one of the keys here is we can push this out now to some other Oracle technology that they give us. Footprint, on your phone, on your tablet going forward, and to have a social interaction really within the planning system today. So the planning system will run and it will create an optimized plan for us based on constraints that we have, whether they be for products that you manufacture or for outsourced manufacturing materials or outsourced processes that you have. That you need to make use of. You may have, an outside painter, say for instance, or somebody that does plating that is not done in your organization. So we take that information and we build to that a work order, and that goes out into manufacturing. So we're planning for not only the inbound material supplies, but the work orders themselves that we execute on in our manufacturing shops. We can plan for transfer orders as well out of here. Do I need to bring materials? Do I need to bring things in from other manufacturing facilities that I may have, or different sites that I have within my organization? And then most importantly, the ability to procure and purchase raw materials, semi-finished raw materials, or finished goods that go into your product. Right? So that's one of the keys, is the ability to, from an end to end, from the demand from the customer all the way to putting a demand on your supply, to be able to plan for this, going forward. So let's look at the order management cycle. This is key. If we didn't have customers, there wouldn't be much for us to plan and execute on in a supply chain. So Oracle gives us the ability to, again, process flow by bringing in from a multiple channels, the ability to have orders come in through their orchestration process. They have a global hub to bring if it's from your own website, if it's from an order desk that you have and people call in and say, hey, I'd like to get this product, or if you have engineers really out in the field working with your customers, gives them that order into the system, and that's the real key. We need to be able to capture that demand from rest. If you're a make to stock environment, being able to get that into the order management system. So I can get it from the web, I can get it from a local call center that you may have. You may have brick and mortar stores out there that you're selling into or shipping into and selling out to customers. You may have partners, engineers working on your behalf out in the field. They may come in through electronic methods, could come in through marketplaces, maybe even through EDI orders or other aspects of how you get your orders in. Fax, you could still use that as well, and getting that information in, or it could come from a mobile device. So I want to get orders coming in from somebody's cell phone or a tablet, say for instance. So that goes into the order management cloud, where we're looking at our internal distribution network. We're looking at third-party outside distribution networks and getting that information in so we can plan it, so we can get the information out to suppliers. Then we can take a look at where we can get it from if we have a brick and mortar store. And ultimately, what always the accountants look like is how we get customers to pay for those particular products, right? And we can orchestrate this across the entire organization and being able to fulfill those. Oracle gives us just a terrific tool, and I can't say enough about the ability to do global order promising at time of order capture, right? So we can Again, get those maybe from an e-commerce site, from customer service. Those inquiries can go over into order capture. This gives us the ability to run a process and then look to see when we can fulfill these particular orders going forward. What are the delivery dates? Where do we need to check schedules and put a request in? So it runs that global order promising. What is my closest warehouse that I can ship from? Where can I get it out of? I have a customer that I'm working with now. They're in a distribution environment, and they sell wire products, and they have things scattered out throughout their warehouse network here in the United States. And the idea is to use global order promising when that order comes in, so they can pick the material from where is closest maybe to the customer, or where they have the right configuration, the right amount of that particular item in stock, so they can fulfill the entire order to the customer. And they're going to use global order promising to do that. So it takes a look at what's in inventory, what you have currently running in production, and what are your inbound purchases going forward. Very quickly does that promise out to your customer. And that's the key again, and I think I mentioned that before, but they really want to know if it's 2-day delivery, am I going to get it really in 2 days? Now, to be able to support that, in many cases, we need to be able to produce product. So we have a comprehensive discrete manufacturing support within Oracle's cloud today, where we can define what the work is that we need to do for a particular customer. And we'll take a look at in just a second one of customers that we've worked with, how they create discrete orders, how they configure those products, because their products could be unique for the customers that they serve, right? And gives us the ability to serialize manufacturing, so we know where particular items are going, who they got sold to through that supply chain. And if there are some products or some processes that we don't support, we can go outside to contract manufacturing and get that all done as well. One of the keys to any manufacturing supply chain environment is the ability to do inspection, where we can create and perform work inspections. We can make sure that that the certifications are done on particular products, and if they pass or fail, we do have a mechanism for managing those non-conformances within the manufacturing environment. Okay, we support quality engineering and what they do in terms of building those quality plans and having the folks out in the manufacturing environments execute on those particular plans. Our inventory system gives us the ability to orchestrate from the storeroom to moving product throughout our supply chain. Gives us the ability to transfer materials, get them picked up and moved around, and actually being able to cost that inventory as well. So it gives us the ability to orchestrate, that supply chain going forward. Oracle supports integration into other component pieces, something like RF Smart that gives you the ability to use RF equipment out in your facility, reading barcodes, things of that nature, to quickly execute on the transactions going forward. And it also gives the ability to us to do transportation management as well. So if we look at on the transportation and warehousing side, Oracle has a complete solution around its warehouse execution and workforce management within that. Gives us the ability to receive materials coming in, to set up when trucks can actually come to your facilities, making appointments for them. So we make sure that the truck doors open when the guys are going to get there, and we can make sure that it's going to be unloaded in the most efficient way possible, and we get to optimize where it's going to actually go out in your facility. So Oracle does support directed picking and put away within your organization. So again, here we can receive, move, and ship product within the supply chain, and it's all part of the way Oracle orchestrates their warehouse management solution. So whether it be inbound material moves, moving them in inventory itself, or the outbound, we have a complete process from everything from purchasing all the way through the complete sales cycle to get particular items into your facility and get them out in the most efficient way possible. There's a transportation aspect to Oracle's cloud as well, and it's called Oracle Transportation Cloud, where we can source, optimize, and execute on the best way to get materials from point A to point B, right? We can optimize product moves with your carriers, and we can, track shipments for customers, making sure that we're only paying for the services that we need. There's also a global trade component as well that takes care of all the documentation around import, export, duty compliance, things of that nature. Okay. One of the key areas, again, is probably mentioned about any manufacturer, any supply chain, any distribution organization, is the way to have maintenance and aspects of your organization, making sure that you can, define assets, you can get them set up in the system. If you need to do preventive maintenance on any plant and equipment, that those are done when they need to be done, and making sure that your assets are running at the peak that they have for their organization. So when we look at some of the key value propositions that Oracle gives us really within the cloud is, the ability for us to reduce costs, whether it be on maintenance management of the organization, on inventory moves inside your facility, to minimize inventory when we don't need that or when we don't need the inventory by using planning tools that Oracle has, and really the ability for us to increase efficiency. Maybe it's in warehousing, maybe it's in shipping, or maybe it's in creating better plans for your organization. And this all brings us to really the key to the whole puzzle here is, how do we maximize profits within the organization, within your supply chain going forward, right? So that's the real key to what we're doing here, is how do we make you guys make more money going forward? Okay, so there's some flexible paths that Oracle allows us to do, and as a system integrator, we've done all of these going forward. So sometimes it's just a single process that we need to look at. Maybe it's something around innovation, or just putting Product Hub in, so we can get information from third-party systems, unlike systems, from one place to the next. We can look at taking a complete business function and digitizing and putting that into the cloud, and that's really going to save us some money around getting some of the best feature function, maybe in the logistics area. We do a lot of work on warehouse management, transportation management for Oracle, just for organizations that want to just feature and look at that particular business function going forward. Or you could take more of an end-to-end approach. Maybe we want to look at the whole procure to pay area, all right, around how we're doing working with our suppliers and updating our procurement systems going forward. Or we could do a complete transformation, whether that be in ERP, which is around the financials, supply chain, HCM, the HR applications, CX, which is front office and how we get information out to your customers in the cloud, and then around enterprise performance management, those particular tools going forward. So I'm going to talk a little bit about Evosys and a customer that we've worked with. And this company, Sportable Scoreboards, they were highlighted at Modern Business out in Las Vegas just a month or so ago. And we did the implementation for them. But Sportable is, they're not an overly large organization. They probably have under 100 employees, probably do less than $25 million worth of business a year. But they're a manufacturer of scoreboards for customers based on their specifications. So this is a build to order business for sure. right? So some of the challenges that they had going forward, they had a non-integrated sales and manufacturing process. They had a whole bunch of stuff. You know, none of it really talked very well to each other. The things that did, you know, they were such a small organization that they didn't have a lot of time as well to build these things going forward, right? So their solution was to put in the procurement suite, cloud, order management, manufacturing, and CPQ. So their target benefits are they got better visibility of their information into manufacturing. So here they were able to use the CPQ applications and order management going forward. That information transfers over into their design and engineering areas. They take that after that design's completed, and they run that through the planning system. So they use Planning Central to plan for materials, to plan for production out in the shop, and they get it out to the shop, and then ultimately they get it out to their customers. So here's a couple notable quotes. You can see down on the left-hand side of this particular slide, these are the products that they make, you know, all sorts of different scoreboards. And again, small organization. So if you look at what Mike Daniels says, he, you know, wanted to, you know, take a 30-some-year-old privately held company and get them to the next step. And he thought, you know, certainly the best way to do that was to move to Oracle, to move to Oracle's cloud and build an infrastructure for the future, right? He had a whole bunch of systems. They really didn't talk to each other. They had little bits here, little pieces there. So they needed something to get them to the future. Their business systems manager, Micah Scuggs, said that, you know, again, they had information from all over the place, right? And they had paper, they had spreadsheets, just like most organizations do today. But now the information that that comes from the sales team, they get that passed right through production. So you can go on their website or custom information and look at configuring their products for them, and that information gets to the engineering department so they can begin work on these custom solutions for their suppliers. Okay, so the key here is Oracle gives you the ability through its supply chain management really to connect your business through the cloud, right? Whether it be through existing systems within Oracle, and Oracle Cloud could be some of the legacy applications, or could be other third-party applications or custom marketplaces as well. So the last thing I really kind of want to touch about is the ability to take the IoT asset monitoring components that Oracle is now building out in the cloud. So we can look at the Internet of Things to give us real-time information. So I've also got another customer that, you know, they're in healthcare, and if you look at the little pictorial here, you know, they've got, they never have enough wheelchairs in the right place. So they put IoT sensors in their organization running this type of technology so they know where the equipment is, right? They're also putting sensors on key personnel within the organization so they know where the emergency room dock is if they need that person back in that organization, right? So this gives you know, organizations the ability in real time to figure out what's going on in their supply chain. I also have another customer we're working with. They are a wholesale grocer. So when they're moving product into their stores, they put IoT sensors in with the shipment. So they want to make sure that, hey, if a shipment of lettuce is coming in, they want to monitor the temperature of that lettuce all the way in transit for their customers. Hey, if it got too warm in the truck, they just turn that shipment right around. They're not even going to bring it into their building. Part of you know, their quality process going forward. So this gives us the ability to you know, really monitor what's going on in the organization itself. So a couple next steps you can do. You can take a closer look at some of these technologies in the cloud going forward. Oracle's great on building a business case with you, and you can work with you know, organizations like ourselves here at EvoSys to really help you build a path going forward in how we can help you go live, right? So for more information, you know, take a look at this website for SCM, or you can get in touch with me. There's my email address as well, brucek@evosysglobal.com. And I just want to touch on a little bit on EvoSys here. as we'll just round this out and open it up for a couple minutes of questions if anyone has that out in the audience. But as far as EvoSys goes, again, we're a platinum partner of Oracle, system integrator. We have over 1,000 customers, and many of those are in the cloud as well. The vast majority of those, we do work across 30 countries, have over 1,000 total consultants. We have and hold many Oracle certifications, and we execute across the 7 pillars that Oracle has. So this kind of gives you an idea of what those 7 pillars are, whether it be ERP, supply chain, human resources, the front-end CX processes, and we also have PaaS solutions that we've created for some of our customers that they use in their businesses as well. Okay, this is some of our clients here in whether it be in Asia Pacific, across Europe, and in North America as well. Okay, and with that, I will open it up. I think we have a couple minutes left. If there are any questions that people are holding for, if anybody's put a question in the chat, we can talk to that and maybe get those answered now. We can turn that back over to the moderator. Okay, if there's no questions for people listening in today, I'd like to thank you very much for attending this web conference. We talked about Oracle supply chain, the supply chain cloud, how manufacturers are getting the best out of Oracle products and technology going forward, and certainly would love to engage with you to show you how to get the best benefit out of the Oracle Cloud solution. Thank you very much for your time this afternoon.